Hey Explorers, I'm Jessica, and today on Exploring the Local Life, I'm going to go over the RV gear that you absolutely need to have for your RV, especially if you are a new owner. Now this RV gear list is going to be very practical. It's not going to be all the fancy whatever stuff. It's going to be just stuff that you need for your everyday life to make it possible to actually RV. And this is in absolutely no particular order. So let's go ahead and get started. The very first item that I'm going to mention is a sewer hose, because no matter what, at some point you're going to have to empty those tanks. You're going to have to empty your gray tank, your black tank. It's just a matter of this life. So you're going to need that sewer hose so that way you can connect, whether it's going to be at a dump station or at your campsite if it has a sewer drain, so that you can get rid of all your black and gray water. So you have your sewer hose. Awesome. I recommend you get some gloves so that you can use your sewer hose and not have to worry about any accidents, because every now and then stuff just happens, okay? I mean, let's be real. Just keep these handy so that way anytime you're emptying out, connecting, whatever, your black and gray tank situation, you have nice gloves so you can keep your hands from being totally and utterly covered in raw sewage. Just saying. Get yourself some gloves. Next up on the list, you're going to need some fresh water hoses. I say hoses because you're going to want just a regular freshwater hose. I recommend that you get something that's distinctly colored, that you're going to remember that, hey, that's my freshwater hose. And then I recommend that you get a heated, insulated water hose as well. Now, even if you're going to be in Florida, even if you're like, I'm never going to winter camp, even if I'm not going to whatever, I still recommend getting them, because you never know, it may happen. You may be like, oh, this is awesome, I'm going to go. We've got our state park, reservation made. We're going to go. It's going to be awesome. And you find out that there's going to be like, I don't know, cold front running through, and the temperatures at night are going to dip into the 20s, right? I recommend you have that heated hose for those times, because you're probably still going to go on that camping trip because it's going to be beautiful during the day, right? So keep that water hose so that way you don't have to worry about freezing up when you are trying to do dishes, brush your teeth, anything like that. And even if you're like, you know what, Jessica, I'm going to just use my freshwater holding tank. I'm never going to have to like have water flowing. I'm not going to be hooked up, connected to water while I'm camping. Have those hoses anyway, because at some point you're gonna have to fill up those fresh water holding tanks, right? So have your hoses ready, have them clean, have them good to go, have them be very different than any other hose that you use, because that's going to be your fresh water you're going to use for cooking, drinking, flushing, showering, whatever. You want it to be clean. Alright, next up on the list is an item that I had no idea that we needed at all. Robert didn't know either. It is actually a fairly recent addition to our RV gear, and that is a sewer cap that has a hose adapter. Okay, and the reason that you want to have this or consider getting it is because it is a way for you, when you don't necessarily have a sewer connection, you can actually drain your gray tank in an appropriate location. Some places you'll find that you can dump your gray anywhere, just on the ground or whatever. Again, remember, this gray water is your sink water, shower water, things like that. It is not black. It is not sewage. Okay, so it's not really the dirtiest water, but there are still some places that won't allow. But for those places that you can do it, you will want this, okay? And basically you'll attach a hose to this adapter and it will allow you to drain your gray slowly, okay? It's not a big fat hose. And you'll want this hose, and this is why I was making a huge deal about having water hoses that you can tell, freshwater hoses that are freshwater hoses and very clearly identifiable as such based on their color, because if you're going to get one of these hoses that you're draining your gray water in, you do not want to mix it up with your freshwater, even though it's cleanish. This is still, when you're doing dishes, particulates get in there, soap, all these things, your body, when you're washing, all that. This is a gray water. So you want to make sure that that hose is very clearly identified as the drainage hose versus a freshwater. But get this, if you find yourself boondocking somewhere where you can drain it, or if you find yourself at a campground, we found ourselves at a campground that had an area where you could actually said gray water only. We extended our hose right there, drained our gray. All right, the very next item up on the list are wheel chocks, and they come in all kinds of different ways, shapes, and forms. We have some that you just wedge behind the wheel. We had those for a while, and we were all like, yay, very secure with them. And then one day we were actually backing up and we forgot to remove them, and we ran them over like nothing. And that's when we were like, and we finally made the jump, and we got some X chocks, and actually we just got them like today. Bam. So these are going to go in between our wheels, so that way they'll be locked into place. We'll probably keep the chocks, use those and these together to make sure that we have an absolutely fabulous, secure situation. So get yourself some. All right, so we talked about the X chocks and just the regular wheel chocks. You're also probably going to want to get yourself some levelers. I don't care if you're in Florida or up on a mountain, you're going to need these at some time, okay? Get yourselves get yourselves some that you are comfortable with. We like the ones that look like little Lego pieces, the length levelers. They're pretty easy to use. There's different ones you can drive up on. There's the snap pads, all kinds of different ones that you can use. But let me just tell you, get yourself some. Do it before you go on your first camping trip. Do it before you leave Florida. All those things. I keep mentioning Florida because a lot of people are like, it's not cold in Florida, I don't need it. It's a flat place, I don't need it. That's when it happens. You're like, I don't need any of that stuff, I'll be fine. That's when you end up needing it. Trust us, trust me. That is what happens to us every single time. So get yourself some levelers. Okay, the next two items are going to be for people that are going to be RVing in a travel trailer. You're going to want to get yourself a weight distribution hitch and a sway control bar or something, because it's dangerous without it, okay? You've seen these types of trucks and campers going down the interstate. Yeah, those are people that do not have a weight distribution, actually don't have the sway control. And you've also seen where the truck and the trailer are doing this, or there's some sort of weird, yeah, that's somebody that doesn't have a weight distribution hitch. You want to get those things for a safer tow. The next couple items on the list are for people that are going to have a motorhome that want to pull their vehicle right behind them. You're going to either need like a tow bar or a dolly or some sort of flatbed trailer. There's all kinds of connection things that connect to the motorhome. I don't know the details of that, but I'm just letting you know before you drive off, make sure that you talk to whoever you're purchasing that RV from to find out information on what type of towing situation you're going to need to bring your vehicle right along behind you. If that isn't an interest to you, you could always drive behind it. That's an option too, but I'm just letting you know. Okay, you absolutely have to have a power cord, 50 amp or 30 amp. And if you really, really want to be prepared, go ahead and get yourself more than one, because the last thing you want to do is to get to your spot, get ready to pull out that power cord and find out you don't even have it. So have more than one, because that's one of those items that you want to have multiples of, so you don't get yourself in a jam. Okay, an important thing that you need to have for your electrical system is a surge suppressor. That way you don't have to worry about if the electricity surges in the campground or RV park, or if the power goes out or anything. It's not going to damage your items, electrical items that are inside your RV. They aren't very cheap, but it's going to be a lot cheaper than trying to replace all of your electrical gadgets inside your RV. So go ahead and get one. They come for 30 amp and 50 amp, so get the one that's appropriate for you and save yourself the hassle of having to replace all of your RV electrical gadgets inside. All right, let's talk more about your electric needs in your RV. So have you ever pulled up? Well, if you're new, you may not. Sometimes you will pull up to a spot in your 50 amp coach and find out that they only have a 30 amp. Yeah, and that's the last site. What do, right? Well, they have these adapters that will take your motorhome, which is a 50 amp, down to a 30 amp. So you can plug into that 30 amp without really messing up your systems. And they have the same kind where you can go from a 30 amp, ours is a 30 amp. We have had to park at a 50 amp, but we've just used our adapter to take our 30 amp to be able to function in a 50 amp plug. All right, so the very last item on my list of RV gear that you need is an RV inverter generator. And I recommend this even if you are planning on staying in RV parks and campgrounds exclusively, because sometimes the electricity just goes out, and that can be okay for a little while. But if you have for some reason a storm come in, something happens, they're working on electricity down the street, whatever, you may be out for longer than that. You might need it. So have that generator for emergency purposes. Now, if you do plan on boondocking and being places where there isn't going to be electricity, absolutely get one. And yes, there is solar. Absolutely, I love solar, but solar gets more complicated. You need to calculate your amp hours. You have to make sure that it's connected to your inverter properly so that your outlets will actually work, blah, blah, blah. If you want something just quick to get you started, and that's what this video is all about. Get yourself a generator. You take your RV electrical outlet and plug it right into the generator, just like if you were in shore power, and you're good to go. You don't have to worry about adjusting anything. You have electricity just like you do at a campground or RV park. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this video helps you out, gets you started. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Don't forget to hit the little bell so that way you get notifications, and make sure that you are subscribed to this channel. Next week, I want to let you know that Robert and I are going to be live on the virtual campground. We're going to be interviewing with Liz Wilcox. She's an awesome, awesome person. It's a lot of fun. I recommend that you go check it out. It's going to be at 8 p.m. Tuesday Eastern Time. Check it out. We're going to be talking about unschooling. If you don't know who Liz is, you are missing out. She's a lot of fun. So make sure you check it out next week. And if you missed the live, make sure to catch the replay and see what it's all about. Thank you all so much. We will see you next week, I hope. Bye.